Alright guys, so today I'm going to show you how to make someone float or levitate in your photos and actually take your Instagram game to the next level after this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up Photoshop. So in order to have this effect, what you need to do is you need to take a picture of the background first, and then you need to have a person standing on a stool or a table or whatever afterwards in the same position that you were in before. It's really hard to do without a tripod, so I highly recommend, if you are going to go through with this process, that you use a tripod. So open up Photoshop, open up the image, okay, open up both the images. So we have this image, and then we're going to have this guy float in this image. As we're going to go to our image, select the move tool. You can select it or you press V, Control or Command A, Command C. We're going to copy and paste it into our main image over here. Okay, copy and paste. And then you can either, there's two different ways you can go now. You can either move it around, all right, and then align it. It might take like 20-30 minutes. I'm going to show you a really quick way of doing this. So what you do is you select both of your layers, your background as well as your new layer. Select it, okay, and then we're going to go edit, auto align layers, and Photoshop is going to do all the work for us. So select auto, select OK, a couple of seconds. It's going to rotate the image as well as crop it to make sure that it aligns with the image right behind. We're going to go to the image that we're going to edit. We're going to add a layer. You can increase the opacity if you want to. I'll leave it up to here. And then I'm going to show you the quick way, which is to use a brush tool. Select the brush tool and make sure this is black. It's usually going to be white and black over here. Set the foreground color to black and the background color to white. And now it's the simple and easy step. All we're going to do is we're just going to erase or brush everything around our subject. So you can increase by 500%, and this is all you do. So essentially it's just erasing the image that we have and replacing it with the one that we want. So we want to get rid of this. Here we go, he's going to float now. Increase the hardness for this. Now we get into the detailed ones. So just drop your size and you can just go inside and you just go ahead and you just brush around the subject. It's okay if you cut a little bit, it's fine, it's not gonna show up that much. Okay, so now that we're done with this image, we're gonna make it Instagram ready. And to do that, we have to export it and then import it into Lightroom. So we're gonna do an export. I'm gonna go export all, tutorial, and then we're gonna fire up Lightroom, import photos, and then we're gonna go to our folder. So we're gonna go to our photo, and then we're gonna import it, hit develop. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to get rid of this white spots, this white area. Doesn't look that great. So the first thing that I do is I go to my crop tool and I set my aspect ratio to 1:1, which is the standard size for Instagram. Go 1:1. All right, we'll get rid of this spot over here and then just center the subject. Bam. Okay, so we're good to go. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start from the top, work our way to the bottom. For the temperature, I'm gonna select a warmer temperature. So I'll bump it up to too much, probably like 12. And then every time you increase the temperature, decrease the tint, it just makes it look a little bit better that way. Because if you do purple, it's not gonna look as great. We're gonna go to the left a little bit, 8. And then down to the exposure. Exposure is fine, but I'm going to bump it up just a little bit to probably 40. If you bring the contrast down, the picture is not as sharp. So we're gonna bring it up probably 37. And then for the highlights, I bring my highlights down all the way. It's just, the more you bring down your highlights, I find the more details are revealed. So drop it down to like 60. And then I always increase my shadows, because what you'll see is this area down here is gonna get brighter. And same thing with like this whole area. So just bring it up to probably 100. And you notice the difference from here all the way up to here. Right, so if you drop the shadows down, nothing is showing. We're gonna bring it up all the way. Drop the whites down just a little bit, because the picture's already bright due to the exposure that we changed. So 8's fine. And then for the blacks, I'm gonna drop it down. I want the blacks to show far, his clothing, his shoes. So I'm gonna drop it down to probably 80, no, too much, 57. So you can see his shoes are coming out more. All right, for the clarity, so make it more clear. If you go all the way down, looks really bad. So I'll do about 40, 37-ish. I'll leave the dehaze. And vibrance is really important. So what vibrance does is it brings out the colors that aren't showing as much. So when I increase the vibrance, you'll notice, I think the reds are gonna show up more. The blues are gonna show up. His jacket's gonna come out even more. Maybe his hair a little bit. So let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at 52 for now. I can always change it. And I'm gonna drop down my saturation, because I wanna take the attention away from the trees and keep it on the subject more. So if I bring up the saturation, it's not gonna look as good. So I'll leave it at probably like 15-ish, 14-ish. All right, so now we're at the tone curve. This is, I'd say, one of the important parts. I have my control points set as follows. I'll do one here, one in the middle, one up top. Okay, and then I'm gonna bring this up a little bit. If I bring it up too much, it's not gonna look as great, so I'll leave it up to there. Maybe I'll bring it down a little bit. Okay, and then I'll bring down way, look, not that way, and okay, there we go. And now we're at our HSL, hue, saturation, luminance. It may be set up like this, the colors tab, so just go to the left, click HSL. Reds and oranges are fine. I'm gonna increase the yellow just a little bit, and I'm gonna drop the greens, probably 19, and then drop the aquas, and I'm gonna increase the blues just a little bit so I can bring out his top more. Leave the purple as it is, and we're gonna go down to our saturations. So yellow, I'll drop it down, because what's gonna happen is if you increase it, it's not gonna look as good. But if you decrease it just a little bit, it's gonna take attention away from the trees, and we'll drop it down to probably 60-ish. And same thing with the greens, because I want to keep the attention on the subject rather than the background. If I drop the aquas down, I'm just going to increase the blues just a little bit. I know that this area is really saturated. I can always go back and change it up. Okay, so our highlights. This is where the fun kind of begins. So with the highlights, I'm going to drop it to probably 14 and hue a little bit on the blue side. So, and then the shadows, I'll have them similar as well. So I'll increase it by 25, and then I'll make him a little bit blue, so 20 there, and then just drop the saturation down to probably like 12 or even 6, and same thing with over here, so probably like 8 or 6 is fine with me. Then we're down to our sharpening. I'm going to sharpen the image up, probably 29 is fine for me. Radius 1, 25, it's all good. And then down to our color, I'm going to increase this, 28 is fine for me. 50-50 is fine. Alright, so we're down to our post vignette crop. I'm just going to drop it down a little bit. 20 is fine. The midpoints, just drop it just a tiny bit. Okay, And then now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna bring out his shoes. So just bring this down a little bit. And we're gonna use the brush tool over here. Overall, the brush tool is really good. Yeah, sometimes it'll go over like so. You can either press erase over here. I typically press option on my Mac, and you can erase it like so. I'm going to bring out the whites a little bit, and I'm going to drop the saturation down because the color of the shoes that he was wearing were black, gray, and white. So I'm just going to drop the saturation all the way, and then I'm going to take care of this area. So just select new, and then just start coloring it in over here. And just gonna drop the saturation a little bit, and same thing with like the highlights and stuff, just a little bit, not too much. The next thing I'm gonna take care of is the road. New, same thing, just color. Just want to make it a little bit darker so the shoes pop as well as his outfit. So now that we're done, shadows drop down, whites, blacks, highlights, contrast, and saturation down a little bit. And I'm actually going to increase the clarity a little bit, give it the grainy feel of the actual concrete. All right, and now it's up to you if you want to color the skies in. I'm gonna do it just for this tutorial basis. So just color it, and what's gonna happen is Lightroom is actually gonna notice these are edges, and it's gonna ignore and color through it properly. So just color all the way up. Color. Contrast down. Actually, I might increase the contrast. Highlights down, shadows down, whites down. Same thing with my blacks. Increase the clarity a little bit. It's just gonna bring out the sky a little bit more. Drop my saturation down. All right, so once you're satisfied with your photo, just go File, Export. Now it's up to you how you want to export your photos. I typically do a TIFF format. You can do JPEG. At the end of the day, Instagram's going to shrink it down and compress it to their acceptable format. I have my metadata included and my watermark. So just export, and it's going to give you an option to where to export. Right now it's exporting to the desktop. Alright, so it's exported. Let's take a look. And then here we have the final image. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram and tag me in the photos that you've created using this tutorial. As always, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.